All righty. Okay, we are live, and we are going to do email sequences and automations. And as we're going through, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. You may have a graham cracker. Ask Daddy for it, please. Yep, Daddy has to get your graham cracker. Stewardess and live streaming all at the same time. But as we're going through to get to automations, we have to have things to automate. So we always are going to start with our North Pole to New York City, because all of the email sequences give the foundation on, I like to think of it as the infrastructure. So North Pole being our read magnet. So your blog, your vlog, your YouTube channel, your podcast, there's really no automations or email sequences associated with this because you don't have an email address. So we're really talking about your lead magnet. So once they opt in and fill out a form on Kajabi, provide their name and email, your lead magnet, then after your lead magnet is obviously your intro offer, and then leading to New York City, which is where we think of spending money, lots of great restaurants, all kinds of amazing things pre-pandemic that New York City represents. So using your North Pole to New York City, we're going to put our line underneath here, like so. Then we can start to say, okay, what's the infrastructure? How are we going to get somebody thinking they're in the North Pole, cold traffic, they have no idea who we are, and we need to get them to New York City, spending money with us? How do we do that in the fastest possible way? That is where Kajabi will do the heavy lifting for you, and it does it so incredibly well. We just have to know what we want it to do so that we can set up the infrastructure. So I'm going to give you guys the overview of what the basic infrastructure is, and then we'll start going through pieces and doing questions. So once somebody opts in, the first thing that they're going to receive is your email sequence. So we abbreviate it ES, and it is your welcome lead magnet. And I'm going to pop over to the glossary to show you guys, you can follow along on this so that you know exactly, okay, what goes into that, because you're never going to remember me telling you everything. So let's go here. Okay, can you guys see the glossary in Google? Perfect. So every sequence that I'm going to share with you, you can just use the link, go right to the glossary. So if I scroll down here and I want to go to email sequences and I want to go to the welcome lead magnet, it will take me right there. This will give you in black and white what I'm going to walk you through, but each of these sequences serves a distinct purpose. It is part of the infrastructure that goes into your Kajabi business, that goes into your North Pole to New York City. And it is this scaffolding that requires us being as streamlined as we are when we're talking North Pole to New York City. And I think when you see all the stuff that you have to build, it becomes clearer to understand why we can't offer 87 things for sale, because building 87 infrastructures is a heck of a lot of work. So let's go back to the whiteboard. Here we go. So email sequence welcome lead magnet. The entire purpose of this is to provide it within the sequence, the URL to your sales page for your intro, okay? So the whole point is to get them to click on this link, and when they do, we will be using automations, and I'm going to do automations in orange. So we're going to just put an A here. A equals
if you go down into the storage room, Mackenzie, and get me the pumpkin.
Automations. So when they click on the sales page, then what gets triggered is the email sequence to the sales intro, okay? We will come back through all of these. But let's say they don't click ever to even see the sales page information. What you would do then is they move to the email sequence, and we're going to continue to nurture the welcome lead magnet sequence. So here, this happens when they take no action. Okay, so there's an automation here. That is based on inaction, and I will show you all of this. When they're in the nurture sequence, if they do what you want, which is click, okay, to the sales page, because that's the only thing we're giving them, then they come off of the nurture sequence, off of this, and they go onto the sales sequence. So the infrastructure is our email sequences. Our automations are the levers turning things on and off so that people are receiving the communications based on the individual actions that they're taking while they're engaging with your business. So when they then arrive on your email sales intro sequence, these are the people that have seen the sales page for the intro offer. So the entire purpose of this is to get them to buy, okay, the intro offer. Here, the purpose was just clicking. Click was the purpose. Now the purpose is buy. So we've switched. So if they take the action and click, because you're going to provide them the URL to the offer intro checkout page, if they purchase that, okay, so here, that's why the action has to be buying, because that's what closes the circuit or the required action. We can't put in an automation that says when they click to the offer checkout page, technically you could, because you can put in a URL, but you want to just complete the circuit once someone has purchased. So if they don't buy, then they keep going down here. So we're going to have the email sequence. We're going to use the same concept. We're now in nurturing because they didn't take any action. So here you end up having the nurture sales intro. The whole purpose being click to buy. That's where all we're doing is basically giving them a second kick at the can. They needed more from you before they purchased. When they buy, then the sequence that goes in or gets turned on is the email sequence of buyer intro offer. So again, we have automations here. We have automations there. You have an automation at the opt-in that turns things on. So let's walk through someone taking the exact action that we want them to take, because those people just click, 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 click all the way through, and it is super easy to get that piece set up. So first we're going to look at those people. So I am someone, I come in and I opt in. Perfect. The first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to start receiving your welcome lead magnet sequence, which is designed entirely to get me to click to see your sales page. That sequence is now focused on getting me to buy. You do a great job of it. I click, I complete my purchase. When I do that, now my buyer intro sequence, which is really your onboarding for whatever they purchased, that sequence turns on. So that's the person that just click, 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 click all the way through. They are the easiest ones. They're your quick action takers. But let's do the opposite end of the bookend. So someone that is going to just need more information, more engagement with you, and that's absolutely okay. because Kajabi is going to take care of it for you. So someone comes in, they opt in, great. They get the email sequence for the welcome, but there just wasn't enough in there to get them to click to see the sales page. So when this sequence finishes, because that sequence has completed, the automation that I'm going to use is when email sequence welcome lead magnet is finished, then subscribe to the email sequence nurture welcome lead magnet. So they don't need to do anything. They just move from one sequence to the next. While they're in this sequence, if they do nothing, like they never, ever, ever click over to this sales sequence, what will then, where you will pick them up is, yep, they will just be, if you're sending out any kind of a newsletter or email broadcasts, they'll receive those because they're on broadcast. Sorry, I'm broadcast. There we go. So this is where they end up. So everyone is always on this list. But for the person that never does this action, then your newsletter, your email broadcasts will include in them because you're still nurturing people. You're still providing opportunities. So as I write these emails, I'm going to include the URL for my sales intro, okay? So that, and it doesn't have to be every time. It can be when you have different things going on, but because you know, here's my North Pole to my New York City, here, this gets included, and now we come right back up to there. So people are always going to be taking different pieces of action. Your goal is to build the building, the location, the thing that will support all of these different people doing lots of different things and not crumble, so that whether one person comes through or you wake up the next morning and you've been on this amazing podcast and suddenly there's 10,000 people opting in, your business can handle it. It can hold it. It will support what you can actually push through it. So any questions so far on like the welcome sequence portions? All right, we're moving right on. Once they click, so this person that was on Nurture Welcome, they click. They say, oh, you know what? That actually is interesting. I am going to click. When they do, they go on to the sales intro communications. So now, again, we're focused, getting them to buy. That is the action we want them to take. But that sequence finishes, they didn't buy. So exactly the same as the welcome, this portion right here, the automation is when the email sequence is complete, which is email sales intro, then subscribe to email sequence nurture sales intro. When that one finishes, if they've done nothing, didn't buy, no big deal. They end up in the same place right over here. They're getting the newsletters, they're getting the broadcasts, they're getting whatever you're sending out, which includes where you want them to go. All right. So you may have a new weekly podcast. Great. Here's this week's podcast episode. Here's, the invitation to get more information on XYZ. You're always giving people, here's the way to come back onto, I always picture like a freeway. You're giving them the on-ramp. Here's the link to where I want you to go to get them back into your North Pole to New York City flight plan, because that's how it all works. It's how the whole system just keeps on moving. Questions. We're going to go into Kajabi and I'll show you guys on the screens, but anything from like the big picture standpoint that you want to talk about. I explained it perfectly. I'm so excited. Okay, we're gonna go into, we will go into Kajabi. And when you're, you know what, before we do that, I'm gonna go on the checklist. So let's go pop into the checklist. And this is a very short form. I use it as a cheat sheet because it just lets me keep everything like right at my fingertips when I'm putting it together, either for myself or for a PBK person. Because on this flight plan, and you can always like check on these, or where's comments? No, where's my comments bar? Do I have to scroll over? Oh, there they are. So it'll have information over here on the right-hand side. There's some comments. But here, when I'm looking at it, I will write down the key word. So in the welcome lead magnet, what's the focus of email 1? What's the focus of email 2? Do not give them 10 focuses. When you're writing your email, you are writing to one purpose, one person, one purpose, one call to action. That's it. Anything else, and you're going to lose them. Don't want to lose them. So that's why the whole purpose of email sequence welcome, the only thing I want you to do is click. But I'm not giving you the opportunity to click to my sales page right off the bat. Depending, that's not a black and white rule. Some people, depending on what you're selling, what the product is, who the people are, you absolutely could have the link to the sales intro, and that's this, the 2 brackets with the name in the middle, that just signifies page. Because in Kajabi, we used to have this like /p/, which was on all of our URLs. So I've just used that to indicate the URL. So as a starting, very generic, you would put the link to the sales page in this final email right here. But you might be in a situation where the link makes sense to provide in email 3 and email 4 and email 5. So depending on what you're designing, and it does take a lot of intentional thought, that's where you know when is the link showing up. In email nurture welcome, the link would be in every single email because they've already come through the welcome lead magnet sequence. Now we just want them to click. So we're probably going to give them the link every single time. So writing in one word, writing in what is the purpose of this email helps you really lay it out nice and clear. I do it on my digital whiteboard. I will draw out, okay, I need to say, these 5 emails. What is the process that makes sense to take people on this experience? It's also a really great way, and this happens in PBK all the time. People will have theirs and they'll be like, okay, these are the 7 emails I'm thinking about sending. Does this order make sense to you guys? And because it's such a collaborative, masterminded group, people know enough about each other's businesses and their audiences, they'll say, you know what, I really think that one doesn't make sense in that spot. What if we take that one and move it down, to slot 4, and we take slot 5 and move it to slot 2? So when you're able to, this is why the common language makes it so much easier. When I can be speaking to someone and say, they're like, hey, it's my sales intro sequence. Immediately, I know what the purpose of that sequence is. The purpose of your sales intro is to get them to buy your intro offer. Perfect. They don't have to explain it. It just gives you such a common ground. And especially if you're working with other people or you're helping other people in their businesses, you've got to be speaking the same language to be able to move things through quickly. So this is just a cheat sheet. I will put in, all my URLs on these pages. It also helps me remember, oh, that's right, I need to build a thank you page. Oh, where is that thank you page? Where did I put all of those things? Which it all definitely fits in with the Trello boards too. It fits in in all those places. Yes, this, the flight plan is everywhere in PBK. It absolutely is. There's a bigger guide, and I actually put it in a bunch of different learning style formats. Some people like the glossary better and they use that. Some people like the cheat sheet flight plan. They like this better. Some people like the Trello boards better. I like to say it's the same chocolate cake. Some like it in a sheet cake version. Some like it in a double layer cake. Some people just want cake pops. Some people want cupcakes. It's all the same chocolate cake. It just depends on which one you like the best, because we all learn differently. We all absorb differently. I just want everyone to enjoy the chocolate cake. That's it. Okay, so questions. We're going to jump into Kajabi. Yeah, Amanda.
How do you edit? Well, I have two. How do you edit your URLs? So like your website, and you could create like a backslash and whatever it is you're creating. Because so far in Kajabi, it's like, it's got the My Kajabi or whatever it says. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where can you go in and edit those? So when you're I printed this, by the way. I had this for a few days and I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. So now I do.
Yeah.
Like how can you edit your URL so that you can keep things organized, but it's also easy to share that link with someone as opposed to it's Kajabi, blah, blah, number, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. You have to set up your custom URL. So when you're on your Kajabi dashboard, so you would buy your domain wherever you want to buy it from. Mine are still with GoDaddy. My brother, who does internet security stuff, he's like, "Oh, they're too expensive. You should buy from this other source." I'm like, I know how to navigate around GoDaddy. They're all in one place, and if I spend extra money, I personally don't care. I keep mine simple. So all my domains that I buy, they're all in GoDaddy. It's where I buy the domain portion. I don't do anything else other than buy the domains. But when you have the domain, you want to go into your settings, and you can only have one custom domain on your, what I'm going to call the site level. So my whole Kajabi site, I can only set up one custom domain. However, custom domains can be redirected to as many standalone pages as you want. So I have one custom domain, tamsinhorton.com, points to the site that I'm using in Kajabi for tamsinhorton.com. But I have other custom domains that point to landing pages. So you can you can have more than one custom domain, but one can point to the site and others can basically redirect to landing pages. So when you're on your site, you have to go to custom domain, and then you just follow the steps. So Kajabi will walk you through all of them, and we used to only be able to do it through Cloudflare. Now you don't have, you can just do it. You put in the domain you want to connect. I'm not going to because it's a test site, but you just click through the steps, and then that domain is set to the Kajabi site. So when I'm doing landing pages, it's tamsinhorton.com/whatever I want to put after the page. For blog, it's tamsinhorton.com/blog/whatever I want to put after the page. I personally could care less if the word blog is in there. Some people, that's a really sticky widget for them. You can go in and create redirecting rules and permissions via Cloudflare to get rid of that, the blog portion, so that it's tamsinhorton.com/001 if I was doing a podcast, so that I don't have that blog in the URL. But personally for me, I just could care less. if you can't find my stuff because the word blog is in there, you're probably not going to work real well as an ideal customer of mine, because using Kajabi, you're going to have to find your way around. So for me, it doesn't matter. For other people, it is an essential component and you can adjust it. You just have to set up permissions and redirecting rules inside Cloudflare to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't touch that stuff.
Yeah.
I do not touch that. Does that answer your question?
Yes. My
Okay.
second question is, how is this the same lineup that you would recommend to do like the 5-day challenge that we were talking about earlier in the week?
Absolutely.
Is this kind of the same, because they're going to get an email every day.
Mhm.
Do they still fall into all of these other emails, or do you kind of just simplify it a little easier?
Well, you want to have it. Let's go back to let's pull that up. When you're laying out your 5-day challenge, you want to know, okay, so lead magnet as 5-day challenge. Here's the welcome lead magnet sequence. Those are going to be the emails when they sign up for the challenge that are going out as part of the challenge. Those are all here. When you open the cart and you say, hey, now you can buy, that's on this page, that's email number 5.
Oh,
It might
okay.
be email 10 for what you're sending out.
Okay.
There's no hard and fast rule. If you were doing a 20-day challenge, you'd have at least 20 emails because you're sending that many out. This is the framework. So you want to think, okay, what is the purpose? Where are they falling into? If they're getting a welcome sequence or a nurture welcome, the purpose is click to the sales page when I give it to you. So your 5-day challenge, when you open the cart, that's when they get the sales intro link. For the people that click and yep, I clicked, I looked at the sales page, your automations are going to take them
Welcome to that.
off of the we need you to click to see the sales page, which is why you have to know what messages you're sending, when you're sending them, so that you're turning things on and off appropriately.
Okay.
Once the cart's open, they've clicked to the link, the automation was turned on. Now they're getting the emails related to the cart being open. Like, hey, yep, the cart's open. In your instance, if you're using events so that the cart closes, at the event end date, they're getting those emails if they purchase. So they clicked, they bought right away, they didn't hesitate. Your automations will move them to the buyer sequence and take them out of the rest of the sales emails. So yes, this is exactly how you follow a 5-day challenge.
Since the events too can kind of hose up your automations, I guess, because like we talked so when we're setting up events, just don't set any type of automations in events. Just go ahead and set them up in automations.
What I would do, like we had talked about, when you're running an event, so you have an open and closed cart, use the events to drive the open closed cart emails, because then they're timed, okay, an hour before the cart closes, a day before the cart closes. So use events, just put those emails in on the event screen. Because they're on the event screen, you don't have to think about automations. You don't have to worry about automations.
And it kind of builds its own little nurture.
Yep.
So it's kind of like maybe a sub.
Yeah. When you're in a challenge, you're going to be using those email broadcasts because you need to you have an open close date. So if you put people on a sequence that's not driven by the event, that sequence could keep sending well after your cart closes. And you're like, oh crap, I have egg on my face now. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's why I recommend you use event emails for the time sensitive. I need you to know there are 12 hours before you can't get this anymore. I need you to know the cart is open today. I want to send you an email one day, after the cart opened, whatever that is. The only automation you're using on events, and we'll go into Kajabi and I'll show you, is when offer is purchased, unsubscribe from this event, subscribe or deregister from the event so they quit getting the emails that are designed to get them to purchase, move them onto buyer intro, which is thank you so much for your purchase. And then the next wave of your communications will start.
Okay.
In the midst of a challenge, you're just going to use email broadcasts, with the filter being the additional condition: send this out to everyone who came into the challenge and opted in if they don't have the intro offer purchased. So if they already bought, they're not going to get your broadcast email. So that's, again, we have to know North Pole to New York City, what are we going? And then we know, okay, I want to send this with this purpose at this time to these people.
Okay.
This is where it becomes overwhelming. But if you follow the framework, it works perfectly every time. Like, you cannot, you really have to work hard to mess it up.
And so when they purchase, we automatically set that automation to unsubscribe them from the event.
Yep.
And by doing that, it'll unsubscribe them from all those follow-up emails.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if we go into Kajabi, into automations, we're going to say new automation. We're going to say when offer is purchased, so our automation becomes when the offer is purchased, they purchased the offer that we were presenting as part of the 5-day challenge. We're going to take them off of the event. We click save. Now, that's not the only automation those people need. They purchased, so we need to subscribe them to the email sequence buyer intro. So we go to new automation. We could also do this on the offer checkout screen. There are 2 doors that you can go through. Here, offer is purchased. Choose the challenge. Now we want to subscribe them to our sequence, buyer intro, and click save. So when they bought, they were taken off the event and they were put onto the buyer intro sequence. So most of the time in automations, you're going to have 2 at play. Not all the time. There are times where there's just 1 at play, but most of the time, if I was turning 1 off, then I'm turning 1 on. So they're typically going to need to be 2 levers. Turn off this, turn on this. Questions? Yeah, Elise.
I'm trying to unmute myself. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
So when we're here, just to review what Amanda was asking you earlier, that these these automations are affiliated with events versus under the marketing tab, it's with events versus email campaigns, correct? These
Yes,
email-
in her situation, she wants to get them off of the event. Yes, her
Right.
emails are in her event. So
Right.
if I'm under email campaigns, so if we go and
That's
we're like, oh,
whole separate thing. What I was asking is just to clarify,
yep,
what you're talking about now lives under events, this email sequence, correct?
right. Yep,
Okay.
it is. And it's not called, just so you don't confuse yourself, they don't call it email sequences when it is on the event tab. They are emails that send
Right.
based on the event.
Right.
You don't have to use, you can say, you know what, I'm not really going to have any emails associated with my event. I'm going to use an email sequence. You can absolutely do that. And that's where I think we were talking a couple days ago. The beauty and the beast with Kajabi is you have options. Just like we were talking about, how many different ways can I use numbers to get to 12?
Right.
1 plus 11 is 12. 24 minus 12 is 12. All of those, there's different ways to do it. And it's knowing, okay, what are my building blocks? What am I trying to do? And then picking really the easiest one based on your situation. Decision fatigue is real. Absolutely. So here, if you wanted to do your way that you brought up, let's say there were no emails on this page. It was just event information. What I can do is I can add when they register for the event, then subscribe to an email sequence. I can choose the email sequence that I want. Let's say it is part of the welcome lead magnet. So let's say it is part of this. Add. So my emails are written under email sequences. I can use that sequence in different locations. When my emails are tied to my event, if you want to reuse them, you're going to have to copy and paste them and copy and paste them and copy and paste them. So it really comes down, again, what am I trying to accomplish? But there's lots of ways to use our numbers to get to 12.
So
Amanda.
if you were going to do more than one 5-day challenge, though, it would make more sense to do it this way instead of your emails in events, wouldn't it? Because
you'll clone the event.
Create all those emails.
You would clone the event. If you're going to do multiple challenges, when you're running a challenge, you're going to want those time emails.
Okay.
I want this email to, if the challenge ends at noon on a Friday, you want the emails. Time is of an essence. So in a challenge, timing matters. Most of the rest of the time, timing is irrelevant. Nobody is sitting at their email inbox waiting for you to send it exactly 5 minutes before a call starts. No. But when time is of the essence, meaning my cart opened, my cart closed, whatever it was going on, then even though you're going to repeat it, it's fine because I can clone the event.
Okay.
So I clone it. I use this for the virtual meetups. I clone the event every month. I change the dates. So instead of it being the last Wednesday in February, or it's the last Wednesday in March, or the last Wednesday in April, whatever it is, you make the minor changes, but every email that I send is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Time is of the essence. So I want to use events in those situations, for sure. Other questions?
So when you say that you clone the meetup that you have the last Wednesday of the month, and you're changing the date on probably the face page of that, then in the emails, do you reiterate in the email when the date is, and you'd have to go back and change in the email each one, right? Okay.
Yep. Yep. And I purposely, I think, only put the date on the confirmation email. And the rest of the time it's like, hey, it's happening in a week. Hey, it's happening in whatever.
Right.
So that I don't have a lot of maintenance where it's just,
Right.
I'm pretty sure the first one. And I'm copying from that, for that it's situation, I'm copying the invite from Zoom because there's a new Zoom link for it. The Zoom link has the day and the time in it. So I'm copying ones from Zoom, delete it, put in the new one, delete it, put it in the new one. So logistically, maintenance wise on my end, it's not difficult. I do use my Trello checklist so that I, yep, updated that one. Yep, updated that one, you know. And there's still times, you know, I miss a link or I mess something up, and so what? You know, it's why I'm not, you know, a surgeon.
Yeah.
I'm not amputating anyone's wrong limb. I sent you the wrong link. That's okay. Life will go on.
Also wanted to know if your Trello board, I saw that at one point where it was sort of like one area to go and look at that. Do you have the link just to wherever it starts that you can put in the chats as well? Because I know you've been giving us like
Yep.
individual little things. Thank you.
Yep, I will grab it. Yeah, and it really does all you know, just like when you're learning any kind of a new language, or, you know, your profession or whatever it is, you're like, oh my gosh, everything feels like total Greek to me. And it's why I always, every single time, start with North Pole in New York City. I will talk about it till people are probably sick and tired of it. But it gives you that anchor. Like, okay, I understand I know what my North Pole is. I know my lead magnet. I know my intro. I know my New York City. Perfect. Great. Now, what are the messages I want to take to people? Cool. I know when I'm in my welcome sequences, my only purpose is get you to click to see the sales page so that I can turn this off and start talking and nurturing with you about buying. Cool. Once you buy, I don't want to talk to you anymore about buying. I want to onboard you into the program. So it keeps it very regimented, which makes it very easy and doable because you're getting rid of the decision fatigue. You're getting rid of, well, what do I say here and what do I do here? And especially when it is like the sales sequence, people go, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what to talk about. Well, when we were talking about, you know, making our templated page and how I recommend making the sales page first, you can take your sales page and go, you know what? I'm going to write an email about everything I put in block 1. My email 2 is only talking about what I put in block 3. Email 3. So you have your sales page. If your sales page is 15 blocks, you know, building blocks in Kajabi, that's what I'm talking about when I say the blocks, like 3 features or a call to action or testimonials, like those different blocks that we can build on any of our pages. That's your cheat sheet for writing your emails. You're like, okay, I had a block of, you know, Susie Q's testimonial. Well, write an email about her. Do a interview with her on video and have her tell her story. That's that email. So suddenly this massive feeling of overwhelm and how do I eat this elephant? You've done all that work. You wrote the sales page before you ever started. It was hard because it forced you to get really clear and specific so that you could tell people what it is they're buying. But it then makes all the other pieces using the checklists completely doable. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Johnson.
And that's all when anyone hires, you know, a launch strategist or a sale, like a funnel person. This is all they're doing. They have a framework that they're systematically working through, but very often they can't explain it or they don't want to explain it. But that's all. There's no I always thought there was a magical pixie dust, like, oh, they have this magical thing and that's why they can do it. And so I need to be dependent on them and I need to, use them. There's a difference when you are coming from a place of understanding how the machine works, where you can say, you know what, this is not the best use of my time, but I know what I'm doing. I know how it works. So I can hire someone who knows their stuff. And I'm going to choose to do something else versus coming from a place of dependence. I don't understand it. I can't do this. So I'm going to hire you and blindly trust that you know what the heck it is you're doing. That's when people are often taken advantage of it. And it drives me crazy. And it happens all the time because we're coming from a place of not understanding. And so we're blindly trusting. And there are people that take advantage of that. Different. I understand it. I know it, but this is not a good use of my time. So I know exactly who I want to look for to hire. And when they tell me they're doing different pieces, I understand what it is so that I can be more of a check-in. Yes, that looks great. Thank you very much. Here's the next project. Yes, thank you very much. Here's the next project. Which
Tamsin, can you help me out here a little bit?
Yeah.
I think I'm in decision fatigue. I've had to set up a new computer too, actually, and it's not my favorite thing to do, and I don't have an IT person. So anyway, gotcha. I do, there's so much going on here, but I finally have figured out what the North Pole is, what the New York City is.
Yes.
But we have so many components. So our New York City is basically, come here, we have a beautiful mountain home and we have a wellness center downstairs and, a nice B&B on the upstairs. And so we're offering wellness retreats as the whole enchilada. In the middle of all that, we have coaching. We can do coaching online. There's one healing modality that can be done online, and it's basically rewriting subconscious programming. And so all these pieces are things that when people buy to come to New York City, they will get a piece of, they'll get their retreat paid for, they'll pay for their stay, and then they'll get, they'll either customize their retreat with us, or they'll have a package. They can come in and they have so much money to spend. They can spend more if they want to when they get here. But basically they're going to be nurtured personally on this retreat. Now, the pieces that they're getting are also one-offs that could be, so I'm wondering, do I make those each intros and that's got its own flight plan to each, like say I was doing a coaching
give me a list of what you're thinking are your intros right now.
Well, I'm thinking the intros would be, so the intro would be a lower paid product, right? Coaching calls.
Okay.
Because those can be done online. And something called Psych K, which is, let's just call it reprogramming subconscious. Now those are basically virtual, what we can do virtually. The rest is you make an appointment. You have to come here for it.
Okay, so
we have those intros as well. So those are virtual, and then we have make an appointment, come see us, just one-off appointments, right? Or yeah, that's it. That's cool. 101, yeah. So, and then we have a few healing modalities under there. So we'll just make that, like I have a tachyon chamber, and we have frequency healing.
You all right?
So those are the three, the subconscious programming, the
coaching calls,
healing, and the tachyon chamber are
gotcha.
All, yeah.
Yeah. So here, you have your choices. Because you probably could end up more, but you have to be there in person. So
yes,
if I do a coaching call, what is the next natural progression to come, like to be a retreat?
Yeah, so we'd love to have them come for a retreat.
Okay. If I do the reprogramming subconscious, is the next natural step to go to the retreat?
Yes, because they all blend in together.
Okay.
They can be used separately, and they can also be a wonderful retreat where you get the whole enchilada.
Perfect. And then I'm guessing the one-on-one appointments naturally lead to just more of that, which would be a
It
retreat.
could be, but they're pretty much people who are here in our town.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are people coming in from out of town, possibly.
Got
You
it.
know,
Got it. So let's put that here. Out of town.
and I mean, this retreat is not just a wellness retreat. It can be like rest and rejuvenate. You know, you take in vacationing time as well. So we'll set that all up that way.
So
Yeah.
for you, yes, when someone purchases a coaching call, then depending, like let's say I knew, let's use a retreat, for example. We run them, let's just say January, April, and July. Okay. Let's say you have these 3 set retreats. So if I purchase a coaching call from you, it makes sense that I could, if I purchase a call anywhere, let's say October to December here, that I could do something like when they purchase this, I'm going to register them for this event in January. Doesn't mean they have to come, but it means I can use events with emails, with sequences to let them know about this going on. So if I say, yes, when people sign up for a coaching call, I would like to make sure that I have a way to give them information about this retreat. So in that situation, I could create an event with nothing tied to it other than the date of this. When I say, you know what, yes, I want to now put in some emails letting people know, hey, the event is coming, here's where you can buy it, da 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 da. Then I can add to this over time, but these people are already tied to it. So yeah, there's ways to do that in a very smart way. Does that answer that part of your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So yes, that's what I would do for yours. This is like, okay, when I know what I'm selling, then I can put it in the right column and I can say, you know what, I don't have everything ready today, but what are the smart ways to tag them, to, use automations in terms of when they submitted this form, then I registered to them to this event. The event might not have, PBK waitlist, it's been, I don't know, 7-8 months now. Like it's been a long time. I didn't have all those emails done because I was still figuring out what is it I want to say? When are the dates, coming into play? Little did I know a pandemic was going to happen right as I was doing it. All of those things. But because I had the automation, when they filled out this form, register to them to this event, then I know they're all in that spot. So when I want to then put the emails out that say, hey, you're invited to this pop-up group. Well, that was all based on who, filters and stuff in Kajabi, me being then able to go in and pull those people out to let them know, hey, intro offer is going to be available. In your case, hey, New York City is going to be available. You put it in the right column, we can absolutely tell you how to hook it up. The hardest part is figuring out what do I want in my columns for most people. Because you want to put 87 things in your column. And you can write them.
This has been the whole challenge for me because, and I'm, as much as I'm absolutely exhausted, this has been the one program that has led me to these, it's almost like a filtering out of my own popcorn mind that wants to do everything and please everybody. So it's been a real weeding out, so to speak. And also, I'm breaking things. I'm breaking the whole collaboration thing in terms of it being the leader. It's not. It's so as it breaks, I realize it's not me. It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yep.
I just want to say hats off to you
Oh,
for
thank you.
great
Yeah,
program.
it's definitely the legal training in my brain that is, let's rip this idea to shreds and prove all the reasons why it won't work. In the process of breaking it and trying to rip it to shreds, you realize, you know what? Nope, I do not want to do that collaboration thing. That is not my number one. Perfect. We just saved all that time building it. Or in the process of ripping it down, it can't be ripped down. It becomes a better version of itself. And then you build that and then it works because you already tried to break it. So I know some people are like, why would you try to break things? I'm like, well, if it's gonna break like if the bad design is in there, it's going to come to the surface at some point. So let's find all the flaws in our thinking before we go to market with this thing. So I'm very glad that
Oh yeah, no, this has been
helping.
great. As much as I wanted to quit and say I'm done, I'm not going online. It's just I guess that's all part of the process, right? Because it gets overwhelming, and it's just so. Then I would take my my coaching. Let's say I wanted to lead people on with coaching and things online virtually right now, because that's where it makes sense.
Yep.
Even though we're not afraid to have people come here because we have so many powerful healing modalities. We even have something that'll kick the shit out of coronavirus, but you have to come here to get the product. So those are kinds of things that we're going to work on now. So I would make my flight plan, then that would be an individual flight plan to those little guys, those little stopovers, right?
Yes.
Just
absolutely.
as it would be a flight. Okay.
Yes. So you would, exactly, because people can't get to you. Like, sorry, pretty soon, I hope we close some airports down because no one's following the rules.
No.
I would like to close down some airports. So yes, now I can say, you know what? These coaching calls, we're going to grab this little guy. We're going to move him up here. And we can't do these right now. So right now, there doesn't, I don't want the line. Let the line go away. Come here. There we go. There doesn't have to be a New York City per se. There doesn't have to be that next step that's turned on at the same time. So for you, you're like, okay, you know what? Right now, people, they cannot get to us. The world is in lockdown, but these coaching calls, they absolutely can. So how do we do this virtually? How do we still talk about it, bring people to it, that you say, okay, what is the topic of this coaching call? What do I want to focus my topic on? Because the lead magnet, when they're opting in, lines up with that topic. So let's say, like you were doing with me, I'm like, I have no idea what colloidal silver is. You heard me mention, hey, I bought a nebulizer. You're like, oh, you can use this in there. Oh, thank you. That's what I need to know. Boom. So I'm just using this as an example. I don't know if
it's great.
Makes sense. But okay, the coaching call is, okay, people, here's how to use colloidal silver and iconic. Here's how they're different. Here's what you do, blah, 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 whatever it is. That's this that you're selling, this coaching call, this group coaching, this meetup experience, whatever it looks like. Then the opt-in matches up with this, so that as I'm talking to people and have that front door, this is the topic, this is what's going on, da 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 da, and it leads nice extension wise into the coaching call.
Okay, so could I use this lead magnet? This is what I was thinking, is this lead magnet to be a virtual call, inviting people in, my subscribers or whatever, or whatever, into here, and then inviting them into a one-on-one coaching call as the intro. You want to go move in further on this topic?
Mhm.
Come here. You want to heal your candida yeast? Come here
Mhm.
to the retreat, and we will throw frequencies at you, or
Yep.
throw, but do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
So I think I've got it now. I think I finally got it. I've been with you since December and struggling with all my ideas.
You're doing great. You really are. This is the stuff that I feel frustration with, because start an online business, it'll be easy. Get up and going in, a week. Can it be done? Yes. But rare is the person that has such clarity, such dedication to say, I'm making this one product and I'm building this one thing, and that's all I'm going to talk about. That person isn't usually the person that's drawn to this. It's the person that has a lifetime of experience, has all of these ideas, has all of these feelings of, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. And Coach Jenny, I was interviewing her for the PBK podcast this morning, and it's ambitious individuals. We've got lofty, lofty goals. We want to shake the world like by the shoulders and say, wake up, like, let's change the world. We have 87 intros and New York cities, and we need community. We need leaders. We need mentors that say, okay, we'll do it all. I promise we will get to all of it. What are we doing first? No, you cannot build. No, like, you can't do all of these things, because if we do all of them, we go nowhere. But if we could pick one, then guess what? We'll be able to do 20 eventually.
Yes.
So it's hard, but it's what drives, like I said, my frustration through the wall. And I lived through it. I mean, good Lord, I was that person. And I say to Chris all the time, I'm like, I wish I'd had a me, someone to say, Tamsin, no, you only get to do this, and this is why. And if we do just this, it will go much faster. I didn't have that person. And I think in fact, we were talking about this, did podcast interviews all morning. And we were saying, it's that the aspirational stuff, which is how a lot of us got hooked in, like, change the world, live your best life, do all these fun things. Like, those aspirational things are great, but it has to have action behind it more than, yeah, you need to build a sales page and an email sequence in this. Okay, but that's just the surface level. You need 3 pages, and you want to build this one first, and then you want to clone it, and then you want to just hide the sections, and you want to use that page to write these 30 emails in this specific way. That's the part that I see the need for, because it's the only way to build with Kajabi the serious business that we all want, that leverages the power of what Kajabi does so incredibly well. That
You really do have to dig in deep for that. You have to go in, and I've had this since 2000. Well, I don't know, had it for many years, and just sort of the surface, couldn't go in deep until, and today, this whole email sequence, I'm so glad I watched it, because I think it's setting me a bit free now to understand it. I mean, I had done it before, but I'd gotten away from it for so long that it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, right, that makes sense, but that's a great layout that you did this morning here.
Thank you.
For beginners,
Thank you.
I'm a new beginner.
Yeah. Well, and it's you can't dive into email until you know what your North Pole to New York City is. And you've got to commit to it. Like, bare minimum, it's 90 days, but realistically, we're talking 6 months to a year. Like, you've got to say, you know what, this is what I'm aiming to do for the next 6 months in a year. Because building anything else out and giving it a chance to run and be promoted and talk about and all of that stuff, it does take some time. It really, really does. And people typically just don't give it long enough to see, could it really do something? They're like, well, I tried it okay, well, how many times did you talk about it? Well, I did a Facebook Live. Okay, when you've done 50 Facebook Lives, let's chat again. One Facebook Live is not going to dump $100,000 in your PayPal account. No, you're going to talk about it, and 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 you're going to keep talking about it
That's right.
over
Yeah.
and over and over and over again.
Because I have subscribers and I keep saying, yeah, just sign up for news. We'll be, nothing happens, right? It's like, okay, I'm embarrassed now.
No, but it's,
That'll change.
you got to do it in layers. So even though it might feel like, oh my gosh, I've had this for so long, and I look at it and I come back to it, you weren't ready to have the email sequences stuff make sense, because you were still like, well, what is my North Pole, or what is my sequence? Because if I don't know my sequence, I sure as heck can't start building emails tied to, I have to have destinations. I absolutely have to have destinations. And I can't do automations until I have the North Pole to New York City flight plan. And now I know what messages I want to send. And then the automations are the part that they either scale a success or they scale a mess. If you do it in order, your business will work for you while you sleep. It absolutely will.
Yeah, and I call you my grounding rod, because I get so, let's go, Mojo, let's do this, let's do that. And it's like, okay, I gotta hang on here for a bit. Well, thanks.
We all have them. My husband is mine. He's like, no, no, you're not doing that. Stay put.
Yeah.
Other questions? I've got about 5 more minutes for today.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it'll take more than 5, but might be able to come back to it. I have Acuity as my scheduler, and in there, it allows me to have email sequences as well, where, a day before I can say, hey, your appointment is such and such a date, and before we meet, I'd like you to do 3, 4, 5 things. Then 12 hours before, and however you set it up. So I didn't know if it's better for me to swing over and kind of almost repeat all those hours of that I to set those up and put it into Kajabi.
Yep. What are they booking? Are they booking a lead magnet type of a call, or are they booking something that they're paying for?
It could be both.
Okay, let's pick one at the beginning.
One is that they can book a 20-minute consultation, or just,
Got it.
Ask me what their concerns are.
Okay, so if I'm booking a 20-minute consult, where am I first seeing that? Am I seeing that for the very first time from Acuity, or am I seeing it like from the Kajabi site where I've already opted in and given you my name and email?
They're seeing it from Kajabi site.
Okay, so what does it say at Kajabi? So they're on a page, obviously, and there has to be a form, right? Or no?
Just opting in. They're opting in, and then they get the link to schedule that appointment.
Okay, so
Acuity.
I opt in, and I'm on the welcome lead magnet sequence. This, let's say it's email 1. This has the URL for Acuity, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when I come into Acuity, so I click and I schedule, and then Acuity takes over because you're sending your reminders. You leave those in Acuity. There is no need to move them. Acuity is handling, quote unquote, your event. 10 minutes before the call, 2 hours, 2 days. I use Acuity too. The beautiful thing is I can use the forms in Acuity. I can set up the questionnaires in Acuity. Absolutely, you can totally use all the features of Acuity in that part, because they're in your welcome lead magnet sequence. So they're in this sequence. Now, in this sequence, You might have emails 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Those emails will have their own purpose, their own call to action, whatever that is, leading to the sales intro, wherever you decide to pop that into the sequence. So I would not recreate your work that you have in Acuity, because those are call reminders. The purpose of the email sequence welcome lead magnet is click to sales page. Those are two completely different purposes. So
I think what, now that I'm looking at it, I apologize, I told you incorrectly, is
oh,
that
that's okay.
so when they're on my website and I say, hey, you just want to, chat for 20 minutes, when they click on that, it goes right to Acuity. So I see what I need to change is take them to the email welcome lead magnet first.
Yes.
Because then in Acuity, I have a handful of questions that I have them check off, like, hey, what's the purpose of your call? Would you like to learn more about your kid that snores? Would you blah, blah, blah. And then in order for them to be able to go to schedule, they have to fill out well, you know how Acuity works.
Yeah. No, if you put a form in front of what you currently have there, and then when the form is submitted, go to this, go to the Acuity URL. So all you would need is you have the form where they're opting in, and on the form where the CTA is,
right,
set it to go to URL, and you're going to send them right to the Acuity link for that 20-minute consult.
Right, that's what I have.
Yep. So all you need to do is put this part in front of it, and that will tie up that entire portion of that sequence.
Okay, but then would I lose them and not have them get on an email welcome lead magnet that could lead to other things? Because if they just go to Acuity, they schedule the appointment, we have our appointment, then I don't necessarily have them on any kind of.
Oh yeah, you want to put them in this. You want to make this sequence the welcome lead magnet sequence, because you're going to want to send them the URL to book in Acuity via email. Very few people will do exactly what you want the first time you ask them. Not going to happen.
I think I lost you there.
You're going to put it in both places. So when I click submit my form, yes, I'd like to book a 20-minute call, name, email, click. The first thing I'm going to see is, oh, I'm on the Acuity page. Cool. I'm booking my call. Kajabi is also sending me, when that form was submitted, the automation is when form is submitted, subscribe me to the welcome lead magnet sequence.
Yeah, I don't think I have that connected that way.
No, that's what you'd want to connect that.
Gotcha. I think right now it's just saying, hey, somebody submitted a form.
Yep. No, that's where, as you think through, okay, my North Pole to New York City is they came in from the lead magnet. The lead magnet is this 20-minute consult. Then what is the first thing I'm going to sell them here? Where do I want them to end up eventually over here? And then writing the communications to get them to that 20-minute consult. Like, that's your thing. For me, it's a virtual meetup. For Coach Jenny, it's a quiz. For Dora, it could be the virtual meetup. So whatever you're using as your front door, could be download an ebook. I mean, we all do use different things as our lead magnet, but the whole purpose is there's just one thing. And that one thing, we don't move that around all the time. I mean, I'm not making a quiz to suddenly start next week. I'm not running a 5-day challenge, the week after that. It's the other piece, especially in the entrepreneurial space, definitely with Kajabians, someone will be like, oh my gosh, the quiz is the best lead magnet ever. And so you have all these people who aren't making any money or who are making very minimal money say, oh, it's the quiz. I need a quiz. So they dump whatever they were doing and they start learning how to build a quiz. And then 2 weeks later, someone says, oh, it's not quizzes anymore, it's challenges. And so again, we have this massive group of people making no money or minimal money. Oh, I need to run a challenge. They dump their quiz. Oh, I got to learn how to do a challenge now. So it's that constant shifting. One house, one front door, get them in, and then we'll give you some choices.
So I'm trying to, as you're talking about that, figure out in my mind when I have them fill out that form, then where would I, so under my form for when they opt in for that particular consult, 20-minute, then am I doing an automation that says when they fill out the form, then put them on the email sequence welcome lead magnet? That's where that lives? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. There's an automation right there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That connects the dot for me. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Yeah, it really is a very, complex connect the dot game for sure. It is. It absolutely is. It is, hey, where are all the dots and where are they going? And it's why you have to figure out what is the image I'm making out of this dot to dot. If I don't know what the image is, or I keep changing the image, you can't get to where you want to go. You just make it so much harder. You're constantly building, you're constantly in this tired phase. It's constantly feeling like this really heavy work and this frustration of, oh, how are all these other people doing it? I guarantee you, everybody that has, for sure, 100,000 and above, we are very streamlined. We do not jump every time someone says, oh, challenge is the new thing to do. Oh, quiz is the new thing to do. Oh, virtual meet. We're like, no, I'm using an old page. I'm talking about my message. I'm doing my thing, and I'm getting up tomorrow and I'm doing the same darn thing all the time. As the business matured, yes, we expand, but they're very focused. It's like, no, this is my thing and this is what I do, period, the end. I know mine is North Pole of New York City. It took me years to figure out that's what it is. In fact, if you go back and look at old videos, I was saying the same things. It just didn't have North Pole and New York City. Once I had whatever that epiphany of the day was, it was like, oh, it's cold. Well, what's cold? Okay, North Pole's cold. Oh, New York City, it's where we make money. Then suddenly everything had a bucket to fit into, and I could say the same thing over and over and over and over again and not confuse anybody. They might be confused as they're starting to learn from me, but anybody in PBK, they could get up and teach North Pole to New York City in their sleep. They know it. And they know when someone says, oh, well, I want to do this and this and this, they're going to say, okay, but what do you really want to do? Because you can't sell 10 things at once. So it is that process for sure. All right. I need to go. Chris has a call, so I need to get off my call. Let me just stop. But if you guys have more questions,